Okay, hello again, folks, and welcome to another installment of my video blog documenting the making of Resonance 2. And I hope to just continue this all the way through. I know it's going to be a lot of video material and stuff, but I know that for me as a fan of lots of different artists, it would have been awesome to be able to sit down and just kind of go through with them the process step by step of making one of those albums. And we can always trim down the video at a later date or something, but here it is. So if anyone is interested, and if anyone wants to know what goes into making this stuff, what's it like, what was the artist thinking, motivation, tools, process, thinking, whatever, that's what I'm trying to do, is just give you some insight here and let you kind of sit over my shoulder in the process, while I'm going through the process, at least some of it. So it's been a couple weeks, and I just happen to have a great day today when I'm alone here in the apartment, so no distractions, hopefully, and we can take a look at some of this stuff. So I'm basically satisfied with track 1 for the album, which is going to be Sunday Glory, it looks like. I've got a halfway decent recording to that, a drum and bass part laid down, and those are by no means finished, but the basic arrangement and everything is pretty darn good, and I'm happy with it. So this might turn into kind of a 3-stage process where I get all the songs to that point, and then go through again and do the final recording and make sure everything is exactly the way I want it to sound on the record, and that'll be like the final mix, and get each song to that stage, and then do a mastering stage. And that's, I guess, kind of what I did on the previous album. It's just that I got things a bit closer to finished before I would move on to the next song. But I don't know, for Sunday Glory, it just feels like it's okay for now. This process is kind of informed by the process I've been going through with this new band that I'm in. And for a band, you gotta write the songs, you gotta get the parts kind of established that everybody's going to play it so they can practice them up and really get those songs down, and getting the songs to that point where those parts are kind of established. And in our case for the band, it means recorded. It's not a final recording, but it's a recording of all the parts and what they're supposed to sound like. That's like a necessary level or step stage you need to get each song to. So and that seems to be kind of useful, from a writing standpoint, because at that point the writing is done, or at least it can be done. You can always add something else if you want, but the writing is essentially finished at that point, and that's an important first step. And if we can, especially since we have these nice preview recordings, I've done this for the band, I've done it already for the first track for Sunday Glory, for this album, for Resonance 2, you end up with this nice kind of preview, or I want to say like previs, like pre-visualization in computer animation, but this is sound, so it's like pre-auralization or whatever, a preliminary recording of what it's going to sound like. And that's really useful, because if we can get every song just to that point, then we can really work on the sequencing of the songs, which song goes where, in what order, on the final CD, and we could then be free to work on things like cool transitions, maybe even transposing songs, so we get the keys to kind of fall into each other, have a natural sounding sequence, kind of a direction, uplifting kind of direction throughout the CD. We can do things like that with just these preliminary recordings. So anyway, that's how it looks like we're going to be approaching things. Now, already my process has kind of been thrown for a loop with this second track. Basically what happened was I got done with Sunday Glory, and then I just sat back for a minute and I thought, well, what would be cool to come next? What sound or what riff do you want to happen after the close of this song? As a listener, you're sitting there, you hear the end of Sunday Glory. What would be cool to happen next? And I heard this riff in my head that was familiar, but I couldn't remember which song I'd written it for or whatever. And it turns out it was one of the riffs I had made up at a later stage in putting together a song that I was planning on using for the album. So, and then I started digging back. I'm like, oh yeah, I did a bunch of work on this, and this was about a year ago, I think. I worked on this song called Fire One, and the original riff that's kind of at the core of the song was written way back when I got my first Mac set up in my first studio back in like 96 or 7, probably 97, the spring of 97 or something, when I was doing a lot of writing and recording riff ideas, basically that I was planning on using. And it was just kind of a difficult riff because it's got this. Oh, here, let me try it. Let me get something going and try to play it for you really quick here. And I don't even know what key we're in, but I have to play it for a second. I don't want my thoughts to be really polluted by this recording I've got. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. So, turn the chair around. And I think it might be an A or E or something. Whoa, noise. Yeah, that's it. So. And that was the first riff, and these always kind of come in pairs or cycles of 3 or something, and it went right from there into. And so on and so forth. So I think I just had those two riffs going back and forth, and it stumped me early on, even way back, not just last year when I started tackling this again, but even way back in like 97 or whatever, because it's not, most of my riffs were like around 160 beats per minute, between like 145 and 180, whatever, somewhere in that range is this kind of upbeat, the Satch surf tune, kind of doom, 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 that kind of thing. And this was like, so I had this pulse that's like, which is a good, I don't know. that's only like 165 or something, and that's okay. But when I use a standard rock beat with it, you know, the boom, 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 it just seemed like the beat was half time, you know, like it was too laid back. You take the same beat and you speed it up to double time, and all of a sudden it's just too busy and too hyper, you know. So obviously I needed a different drum beat that kind of wanted to go with that, and I couldn't really find it. I couldn't really find the rhythm, and it's just, it was frustrating because I was looking for the backing, the rhythm backing tracks, the drum and bass part that fit the feel, that the drive, the rhythm, the energy that riff seemed to have. Because I really liked it because it seemed super keyed up. You know, my stuff was really keyed up and happy to begin with, but this one seemed like over the top, you know. And I called it Fire One because, I don't know, it just, for some reason, it reminded me of this wristwatch I used to have that had this fire button on it, and you'd press it and the watch would pop out the top. And the watch was just kind of over the top. It was just too cool, so cool it almost looked stupid, like Fisher-Price cool. You know, that thing was white and with a blue top that looked like kind of a computer display, and this red button, you know, with like a yellow thing around it that said fire, and it was just too, the energy of the device, the appearance of the device was just so pure and over the top. You almost felt ridiculous wearing it, you know, and you know, it's like something you always wanted to wear, but it was just too much, you know. And that's what this riff kind of reminded me of. So so there it was. I was kind of stumped, threw it on the shelf, and for whatever reason, about a year ago or maybe a little more, I dug it out because kind of the direction I was going was like more electronic, more integrating the keyboards. I was having more success with integrating the electronic sounds and the I don't know, more electronic sounding drum and bass kind of sounds with the guitar riffs, and I had some different approaches to that and stuff. So I was like, I don't know, it all kind of lended itself to trying this song, trying to do something with it. And I got quite a ways. I got a whole arrangement, and funny enough, it's like all the guitar parts, it looks like, are played by electronic instruments, and just for the sake of writing, I'm sure, because it was easier to handle. I could kind of get the sound that I wanted without slogging through a whole slew of different guitar amp models and stuff. And I think, I remember, like, I spent a lot of time last year trying to find the right kind of guitar sound with it, and it's just like I couldn't quite nail it. But with some of the software instruments that I tried out, I could get pretty darn close, you know, playing those through guitar amp models and stuff. And so without further ado, let's, and this is going to be in a different key, I'm sure. But let's see. So we'll just kind of play through this. This is the arrangement I had, and I feel like it needs some work still. So I kind of got it to a certain point and then got stumped again last year. But here, let's check it out. because I don't have the guitar part. Well, in my fiddling with this the last time when I was farming things over for my Mac, I probably pulled that out at some point because I was going to record the guitar over the top of it. So I don't know. What the hell? Let's try just playing it. I don't know if I'm going to get the right delay sound and everything I had, but I can kind of play the guitar part along with it. Not very in tune, but whatever. So let me go back to that chorus part, or just before it. This is going to be guitar solo. I practiced it up. This melody is going to be guitar probably too, instead of a synth. Boy, I should really get a stereo cable going from that amp or hook it up right. Yeah, because there's this cool guitar part, and I deleted that too. I'm pretty sure what I did last time then was delete out all the synth parts that were playing guitar instruments. There were just a couple. There's one that was going dun, playing these little chords dun, up high, and then the delay would bounce around, and it was a cool kind of ambient effect. And I'll be doing that with guitar, I'm sure. And then that lead or the riff I was trying to play for the chorus, I had that in there. And yeah, like I was trying to say during the song, these synth lines are probably going to be guitar. I really want to try them. So this will be more like a more traditional instrumental guitar track where you got one guitar playing a melody, the solo, and so it has kind of this lyrical verse melody thing. And I don't know, it's a little bit cheesy. I may end up doing a different melody to the same chords or something. We'll see. Because this one fits well. It's just, I don't know, what's the word? Maybe a little too hokey sounding. Maybe not serious enough. Let me try to solo this track so I can tell you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, this fine. It just seems kind of a lame. It's happy enough. I don't know. I like this part. So, yeah, I don't know. And then, like I was saying before, this the solo part in the middle, wherever that solo was. Boy, I've got to color code these things right. I think it's this thing. Oh, why is it the bass? Because there's another synth part that goes along with that. Somewhere. The middle 8 sub. I think it's this part. Yeah, and it goes on to this. So it goes from, it's that other alternate riff I came up with originally, based on that for guitar, but then it goes into the solo. Kind of an Eddie Van Halen kind of thing or something. And I want to take it to the next level, make it a really long, drawn out, arpeggiated chord progression that goes somewhere. It's kind of taking that energy and controlling it, ebb and flow. So we just went up a little bit. It could, we could have even taken that to the next level, but because I don't know, some of you will probably just be driven nuts by this, but pay attention to how the energy feels with this, if you can, with these arpeggios, where I'm taking it. It kind of has this envelope, this ebb and flow, rise and fall. Kind of, oh, this could be great, kind of feel. Whoa. Then it goes there. In the euphoria stage, just kind of up and down. In that euphoria stage, here we are, a little higher. Then, oh my God, eureka. Then back down, a little lower, up a little more, then it just kind of goes back down. So we just for a brief minute got to that. And just for a minute we got to that kind of eureka stage. Let's see. So we're on this E major chord. So it's the 5 chord, so we must be in, we're in A. So the 5 chord is E. Then it's an inversion of the 1 chord. The 4 chord. So it's kind of like, it's odd, but because of the inversion or whatever, when we go to that 4 chord, we go from this second inversion of the 1 chord to this, so just up a half step on this top note, the most energetic note in that first inversion chord. So the third, of course, probably the most powerful inversion of the chord. The high note goes up just a half step, just a little bit more, just pushing it over the edge. And all of a sudden, we're on a power chord of just roots and fifths of the 4. So it has the purity of not having the third. Instead of, or, and we do go back to that, but notice how it just feels more pedantic, more down to earth. When we have that third in there, no matter what inversion. Although that's not bad. If we had done something like that, but when instead of going to this first inversion of the 4 chord, we go to the 151, and I don't know, to me, the 5 chord sounds more purely spiritual, less kind of emotional, less sappy, is stronger, more heroic kind of a sound, instead of compassionate or giddy, silly, gay kind of a sound, merry kind of a sound. We get to this is serious. It's like now we're seriously happy, or now we're strongly spiritual, and that's what I mean when it kind of, for a brief moment, the riff pokes into that territory. It's kind of like these levels in meditation. You start out with this, this could be a really great, or even like some kind of orgasmic or sexual experience or something. You get hooked. It's like, oh yeah, this could be really good. This is great, and you start to sit there, and then it kind of escalates as this ebb and flow, gets better and better, and the orgasm, is the kind of burst into enlightenment, where you reach enlightenment kind of stage or whatever, or briefly kind of achieve this oneness or this perfect, what do they call it, tantric moment or something, is reflected or kind of indicated by getting up to that 4 chord in that way. And it's also kind of lengthening out. You can almost view this as kind of the peak of the orgasm. But then we draw it out. We take that energy and we maintain it. We kind of make a place there, instead of just reaching the mountaintop. Now we build a little shrine or a little house at the top of the mountain. And then it comes back down, final. Same chord, 4 chord, but just a little less energy with that first inversion. Then, importantly, staying with the same top note, but then going into the sus chord of the 5. Yeah. So this is the re. Yeah, so this is an inversion. So this is the second inversion of the 5 chord. A sus, so we're going from the 4th to the 3rd. So that top note that was in the top note of the 4 chord, which is the 5th of the 4 chord, A, becomes the sus, the 4th of the sus chord of the 5. And then we go, and then we close it. The tension because of the sus chord. And then we close that tension with going back to the 3rd. Just a half step, just these little nuances, And then we go into our Arcturian arpeggio or whatever. Where are you? close it out, which is, I think, a great way to end it. This kind of like my, I'm not the only one that uses that, of course, because of my favorite signature arpeggio is that Arcturian scale, whatever you want to call it. It's just root, third, fourth, fifth, octave. So yeah, that was really my goal with that. You know, I want to do more guitar solos like that. As I start to have more guitar solos and things in these songs, which is definitely my goal, I want it to be more along the lines of who's the guy? Neil Scott in Journey, or especially like Vito Bratta in White Lion, with these guitar solos that have these, they just burst out melodically, you know, take things to a new, pure, more elevated, positive energy, that this burst of that, like this burst of light, this burst of sunshine in the middle of the song with the guitar solos. And I really want them to be that, to be in that direction. Van Halen would do that from time to time too. A lot of times with arpeggios and things kind of like that. So that's why I want to go, and that's the kind of way I want to do it. Sure, it's elementary, it's not going to be playing that fast or anything, but the important thing to me, again, is to convey the energy as purely as possible and still sound halfway cool while doing it, and you know, make a song that people like to listen to. They don't feel too embarrassed listening to. Although I found that's kind of part of that's one of the fine lines we walk here. You know, as you get into pure positive energy and things that are uplifting and happy, it's really easy to go from happy to sappy. You know, where it's just you're stupid, you're being stupid happy, and you start to say stupid things. And because you know, you don't care anymore, you're just giddy, and the music starts to sound that way. You know, you can get to the point where you're playing things that you're almost embarrassed to play because they sound so much like a kid's toy playing some you know, nursery rhyme melody or something. But I don't know. I like kind of, when I'm experimenting with these songs, I like kind of going over the edge like that, into that territory, and seeing how pure can I make that energy. And I'll have to pull that up sometime. I've got this one riff where I made this like 16 or 32 bar riff, where it's just as sappy and stupid and melodically happy as I can possibly make it, you know, and I'm just trying to get more of that energy, and who cares, you know, not caring at all about how stupid it sounds, and yeah, just kind of establish, okay, you know, this is the point. This is like the ultimate, you know, where we can get, and see where I can go with that. So, wow, it's like I didn't realize this would get into a discussion of things at this level, but yeah, that's, you know, that's really what I'm trying to accomplish here. Is number one, having instrumental music, because for me as a listener, I use instrumental music differently than other music because it functions differently. When I play instrumental music and sit down in my chair and listen to it for hours on end, my mind is free to just think about whatever it wants. You know, it's like, sure, you have kind of some basic emotion coming from the music, but no specific direction. You know, no specific concrete thoughts are being forced into your consciousness. Whereas when you have words, always, you know, there's specific ideas. You know, it's like your ideas are being directed, channeled in a specific way by those words. And even if you manage to ignore the words and fight that, it's something you have to fight. You know, it's something that's there, and it's really detracting from the experience of sitting down and listening to the music and just thinking about whatever you want and using the music for its energy. You know, and then if the music is upbeat, positive, and uplifting, and usually that's what I'm trying to think about, is things that are positive and uplifting, it's what I like to think about, then the music kind of supports that. You know, it enhances the experience. It helps you stay more on track with positive thoughts, and it accentuates them, makes them clearer, makes the energy more pure, and makes the experience overall just a pleasant one. So in my music collection, I try to assemble kind of a collection of CDs and things that sound like that I can listen to. And some of them get pretty darn close. Some of them are pretty good. I have a lot of favorites and things in Yanni Evangelis, David Arkenstone, Robert Miles. But Tangerine Dream, but they all fall short. And good example. She has words a lot of times, but still, there's a lot of stuff that functions this way. But they all, to me anyway, seem to fall short a lot of times of the energy I'm trying to go with in my thoughts. I want something that is upbeat and kind of driving, like more like pop music or hard rock music or something, but still has that positive vibe, that positive energy. And it's hard to find instrumental music that's really like that. You can find instrumental music that's close and has aspects of that from time to time, but definitely not a whole album, that's that way all the way through. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish, of course, with this whole series, this resonance series. So there we have it. This is where I'm at. This is the piece I have, and I kind of got stumped about a year ago. I think because I had so many details worked out that it got harder and harder for me to alter things at that point. As I get closer and closer to the mark, it gains a power of its own and starts to dominate your consciousness, and it's difficult to start to imagine how you would want to change things, even though you can feel that at times it needs some changes. So I think I'm a little bit more prepared to do that, because we've been doing a lot of that kind of thing with the band I'm in, is really doing a lot of arranging work, listening to these kinds of arrangements and saying, okay, we need to chop 4 bars here, add 4 bars there, or even turn this kind of phrase into a more symmetrical phrase or something. But so I guess what I've kind of come to is I'll use this, what I've got here, is like a starting point, and try to do some arranging on that and see if I can get a good arrangement with the pieces that I've got here. And so that kind of, there goes my whole idea of having the whole Resonance album in one record file. This is its own file, and I tried farming things over, and that's all doable, but it's really hard. It messes stuff up, and you end up with tons of extra instruments, and I can easily see how I would end up with like 1,000 instruments in this one propeller head record file, which I think for this 8-year-old PC I've got going, it's just going to be, it's only got 2 gigs of RAM. I'm going to hit a brick wall at some point. But so anyway, for now I'm just going to start with what I've got here and do some arranging work. And the first thing I'll probably be doing today, since I took those guitar parts out, is just be recording some of those guitar parts, get some nice delay on them and things, like I want it to be. So then I've got those in the mix here to work with as well, and then start doing some arranging. So since this video has already gone on and on and on, I won't, of course, leave it on through that whole process, although I know there's probably going to be a few of you who will say, oh yeah, leave it on forever and just have this webcam that's like every second of working in the studio. But oh, good God, 40 minutes is enough. Okay, well, again, thanks for viewing, and until next time, we'll probably have a lot more done and be in a different point next time we come along. So share and enjoy.